This is a training overview for the LifeFlow Plus blood and fluid infuser. Please refer to the IFU for full use instructions, indications, and warnings. The LifeFlow Plus includes the handle and blood tubing in a single package for easy setup. The first step is to close the clamps and spike both bags. Open the saline clamp. Squeeze the middle of the air check to prime both chambers and continue squeezing until fluid is at least halfway up the blood filter. If needed, squeeze below the air check ball to release it. Squeeze the tabs to open the canopy on the handle and insert the syringe as shown. Make sure that the plunger is in the blue slot. Note that the milliliter markings on the syringe are visible and that the inlet tubing fits into the notch. Close the canopy. Now with the handle pointed upward, cycle the trigger loop until all air has been purged from the syringe and tubing. Continue cycling until force reducer and outlet tubing are primed. Using standard aseptic technique, attach the Y tubing to the patient's vascular access. Monitor IV patency on first trigger loop squeezes and throughout infusion. To begin blood infusion, close the saline clamp. Open blood clamp. Squeeze the air check to prime the blood tubing, and squeeze the trigger loop to begin transfusing blood. Each full stroke delivers approximately 10 milliliters, and total volume delivered can be calculated by counting the number of strokes or by noting the total volume remaining in the bag. Note that one hand remains free to monitor the infusion site, assess patient response to treatment, and address other patient care issues. Stop infusing while a small amount of blood remains in the bag. Close the clamp. If an additional bag is needed, connect the next unit and open the clamp. Squeeze the air check to reprime. Continue infusing. If the ball reaches the bottom of the chamber, the air check will seal and the trigger loop will stop returning. This means you have to stop infusing, disconnect from the patient, and reset the air check. First, spike a new bag and reprime the chamber. Second, squeeze below the ball to release it. The third step is to check for air in the line. Reprime the line if needed, and then reconnect to the patient. Note that the quick guide in the LifeFlow Plus bag contains step-by-step instructions on the setup and priming of the device. When loading the syringe, make sure to seat the syringe in the blue shuttle. If not seated correctly, the shuttle will not engage the syringe. LifeFlow Plus can be used with 22-gauge catheters and larger when using to infuse blood. When using to infuse crystalloids and colloids, 24-gauge and larger may be used. The trigger loop provides a tactile feel. If you notice a change in resistance or it becomes hard to squeeze, don't exert excessive force on the trigger loop. Review the troubleshooting checklist in the quick guide. Also, check your line for patency or infiltration. Remember, go slow for better flow. If the trigger loop stops moving during an infusion, do not force the trigger loop open or closed. Stop infusing and begin troubleshooting at the top of the tubing and work your way down. Check that fluid remains in the desired bag. Ensure that roller clamps are open. Check that the filter is not clogged. Make sure the ball is not suctioned to the bottom of the air check. And also check all distal clamps. When infusing blood, always watch the level of blood remaining and stop while a small amount remains in the bag. If you continue squeezing for too long, a vacuum may develop in the air check chamber. If this happens, release the clamp on the saline bag to release the vacuum. LifeFlow Plus is compatible for use with all vascular access that is rated for contrast infusion pressures. If extravasation or resistance is noted, switch to an alternate IV access site. Continue to check the IV for patency throughout the infusion. Do not mix citrated blood products with lactated ringers or with other solutions containing calcium. You should always stop infusing if the level of the air check ball starts to drop. This is an indicator that you are out of blood or fluid. If you accidentally release the air check ball when the chamber is still empty, or if you fully vacuum a blood bag closed, air will pass through the air check and into the tubing. You must then disconnect from the patient and cycle all air out of the tubing before reconnecting. Do not release the ball when the air check is empty. The LifeFlow Plus trigger loop is designed to break away if excessive force is applied. This is a safety feature. In the rare instance that this occurs, open a new device and use less force when squeezing the trigger loop. Using LifeFlow Plus, a trained user can, on average, deliver 1 unit of packed red blood cells through a 20-gauge catheter in less than 2 minutes. When using LifeFlow Plus for blood products, this device can be used on a single patient for up to 4 hours. Consider replacing the tubing set if the syringe slows or the filter gets clogged, or per hospital policy. When using LifeFlow Plus for crystalloids or colloids, replace after 4 liters or 24 hours of use.